All right, ladies and gentlemen, viewers of all ages, some really good news. I just finished a live stream where I was talking about Star Wars and some Marvel stuff. But yesterday or the day before, I did a live stream where I talked about Dune. I saw the movie on opening night. I actually saw it on Thursday night, one of the early showings, and loved it. It was really my expectations were pretty high, and they were met. Um, but the big takeaway I had was if that movie has a flaw, it's the fact that who knows if we're going to see any more of it. And let me share my screen here. This just came out. Really cool. Let me make me a little bigger here. Dune Part 2 officially greenlit. I know they've been talking about a sequel. Obviously, they must have been. But the question was the movie going to be good enough? Was it going to perform well? It was definitely a good enough movie. Was it going to perform well enough financially to justify the making of a sequel that wasn't already in production, right? That they didn't already have sunk costs into. Apparently, the answer is yes. Dune Part 2 officially greenlit, release date set for 2023. So they're going to haul ass on this. And obviously, they must have been doing work on the script. The story of Dune is pretty well understood, right? It's not like they got to figure out where these characters are going. As closely as the movie makers held to the original source material, um, a lot of that development as far as like storyline is kind of done for them. So maybe they can do this, but release date set for 2023, and like this may be a fall release, right? We're coming up on November now, so maybe if it's another fall release, Thanksgiving, Halloween time release, but still 2023, pretty aggressive. Let's see what they say here. Dune is officially getting a sequel. Legendary Entertainment announced the news in a tweet on Tuesday, and that's today, ensuring the spice will continue to flow on screen. Oh yeah, baby. Warner Brothers will distribute the film and help finance it through though Legendary is the primary money behind the movie and owns the film rights to the book series. And I think Legendary honored that ownership with this part one outing. The film is expected to have an exclusive theatrical run, which is cool. That should help at the box office numbers anyway. But I imagine it'll end up on HBO Max at some point thereafter. But let's read this. The film is expected to have an exclusive theatrical run, and Legendary will likely make that point ironclad after Dune debuted simultaneously in theaters and on HBO Max last week. Yeah, and who knows what might have been with the in theater experience for a movie like Dune had it not also been immediately available to anybody on HBO Max. Yeah, I get HBO Max through my cell phone carrier, right? I don't pay an extra dime for that. And I had access to the movie just kind of on accident, right? That has to have an impact, especially for, or maybe not, maybe a movie like Dune that I think benefits so much from being seen in the theater. Maybe it's a little bit more protected from the day and date release on streaming services. But as of now, as of this announcement, won't be a consideration for part two coming up. Article continues. The unorthodox distribution pattern was a pandemic era concession by Warner Brothers, but one that caused an uproar when it unveiled in 2020. Dune Part 2 will hit theaters October 20th, 2023. Nice. So yeah, just about 2 years. How cool is that? This is a tweet from Legendary. This is only the beginning. Thank you to those who have experienced Dune movies so far, and to those who are going in the days and weeks ahead. We're excited to continue the journey. Dune Part 2. Look at that. Let's see what they have to say. Variety, by the way. I don't know if they broke it or if everybody's reporting on the same set of tweets, but this is the first place I saw it. Google News served this up to me, so here we go. The first part of the sci-fi epic, which opened October 22nd in the US, earned 41 million in ticket sales in its first weekend. That result was the best film opening of the year for Warner, a sign that fans desire to not only stream Dune but to see it on the big screen. Yeah, what we were just talking about. The film has also performed well overseas, earning 225 million globally. Its domestic opening results were roughly in line with what Warner Brothers expected the film to generate when it was greenlit, which is notable because that's long before COVID-19 upended the media landscape. Yeah, and I would say it's also before a lot of movies that were anticipated to have much higher box office results. Looking at you, Black Widow and Shang-Chi, uh, reported, let's say, less than stellar numbers. A return to Arrakis, which is the planet Dune. A return to Arrakis was always part of the plan. Um, I'm not even going to try Denny's last name, but the director was adamant in interviews that his adaptation of Frank Herbert's novel would have two parts. Man, I wouldn't mind seeing it have three or more. Take your time. You're doing a great job, buddy. Would have two parts. In fact, the film's opening title sequence rather boldly read Dune Part 1. When interviewed by Variety at the Toronto Film Festival, Villeneuve said, "I wanted at the beginning to do the two parts simultaneously. For several reasons, that didn't happen. And I agreed to the challenge of making part one and then wait to see if the movie rings enough enthusiasm. As I was doing the first part, I really put all my passion into it. That shows. I really put all my passion to it in case it would be the only one, but I'm optimistic." Sip of coffee there. There's still a lot of story left to unfold. Dune Part 1 ends with Timothée Chalamet's Paul Atreides, a messianic figure at the heart of the series, seeking shelter from enemies in the desert. Dune Part 2 will follow his efforts to exact revenge on the noble families who murdered his father, Duke Leto Atreides, just fantastically played by Oscar Isaac, and restore himself to power. Somebody didn't read the book. He doesn't actually want to restore himself to power. Anyway, Warner Media leadership also hinted at a part 2 in an interview with Variety on Thursday, with executive Ann Sarnoff saying that the green light would be based on the entirety of what Dune can do for the company, including HBO Max. It's interesting. I think the big question with Dune was, will it make enough money to justify the sequel? But with a quote like that, looks like they understood that box office numbers couldn't be the only driver, right? Obviously, we have the simultaneous release on HBO Max, which put some of that in question. And also, I think they're relying on or at least they're putting faith in the incredibly strong word of mouth around this movie, because I'd heard that there was maybe a HBO Max specific series, maybe a miniseries, maybe a serial show that was also in the works. I don't have any specifics on that, but I remember hearing something about that just kind of in the run up to the release of the movie. Maybe we'll hear more about that soon. But yeah, Ann Sarnoff said the green light would be based on the entirety of what Dune can do for the company, including HBO Max. So maybe a series there. The story in itself sets up for a sequel. The production is so amazing and the storytelling is so compelling that it is not going to be judged on box office alone. Release threatened to be overshadowed by Warner Brothers' decision to release its entire 2021 slate on HBO Max at the same time the movies debuted in cinemas. Yeah, I think 2001 has showed us that really doesn't do the movies any favors. Legendary threatened legal action, and Villeneuve blasted the move, but tensions have since eased. not just with the Dune team, but with other artists put off by the Warner Brothers decision. Several of the films behind the movies that failed to connect at the box office, such as In the Heights and Cry Macho, still came out on top after the studio opted to pay out back-end deals as a way to smooth over ruffled feathers. Yeah, particularly. Actually, I don't know if that payout was before or after the Scarlett Johansson legal battle thing. I'm not really into the pageantry of all the Hollywood stuff, so I don't follow all the interpersonal drama. But obviously, that was a big dollar lawsuit, and certainly had impacts on precedents between streaming services and theatrical only releases. Warner Brothers has committed to releasing its films exclusively in theaters for 45-day runs beginning 2022. And I think 45-day runs are a fine time. Like if I want to see a movie in the theater, I usually see it in the first week or two. Um, it I can't think of a movie I went to see in its second month in theatrical release. I'm sure there's people who do that and enjoy that. I know movie theaters have subscription services where you get a number of free tickets a month or a week or whatever. Not for me. Like I pick and choose the movies I want to see, and I usually want to see them before they're entirely spoiled online. I want those story writing impacts to hit me real time. It's why I used to avoid trailers like the plague. I was the guy in the theater during the previews going la 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 because I didn't want to be spoiled on the movies I wanted to see. Nowadays with YouTube and social media, it's hard to avoid trailers, rather not necessarily spoilers, but trailers entirely. And trailers have started to outright lie to us. So I don't avoid them as much as I used to, but I certainly see the movies I want to see early in their run, so I can engage in discussions and stuff on them without having to lead every conversation off with whoa, whoa, whoa. Before we talk about whatever we're going to talk about, we need to make sure we don't talk about, insert latest popular movie because I don't want them spoiled. So yeah, 45-day run, it's plenty of time. That's fine. And then get it out on streaming services. Let other people see it, or let the rewatches begin, right? In Dune's case, the two companies in Villeneuve, I'm going to say it Villeneuve, I hope I'm getting that name right. No idea how to speak French. Had nothing but nice things to say when they officially announced other installment. Legendary offered that we would not have gotten to this point without the extraordinary vision of Denis and the amazing work of his talented crew, the writers, our stellar cast, our partners at Warner Brothers, and of course the fans. Here's to more Dune. Anyway, this article goes on. I'm going to finish reading it. I don't know if you heard in the background a doorbell. I think I just got a delivery, so I'm going to go check that out. But yeah, I just wrapped up a live stream, and I talked about this earlier in the week. So I just saw this announcement, and I wanted to hop online real quick just to share the good news. If you happen to find me online, searching about info on Dune's sequel, feel free to give me a thumbs up and a follow if that's your kind of thing, if that's your jam. And stop sharing this. But yeah, great news for Dune fans. I think this movie has totally earned a sequel, and I'm here for it. All right, that's it. Take it easy. Bye.